Melissa Gilbert breaks silence about Dean Butler. Why did Melissa Gilbert stay silent for so long about Dean Butler, and why is she finally speaking now?
Because of what she just revealed, almost no one saw it coming. Not her longtime fans, and definitely not those who believed in the perfect love story of Laura and Almanzo.
Was their chemistry real, or was it all a performance? And what has Melissa been holding back for decades? Stay to the end, because once you hear what she's finally said, you may never see that iconic TV romance the same way again. The show and the romance everyone believed in. If you grew up watching Little House on the Prairie, you know Melissa Gilbert.
Most people remember her for her on-screen romance with Dean Butler, and let's be honest, that role alone was enough to make her unforgettable. The show was about the Ingalls family, living a simple but hard life on the American frontier. They didn't have much money, but they had each other, and that was enough. The series reminded viewers of what really matters: family, perseverance, and doing right by your neighbors. At the center of it all was Laura Ingalls, played by the young Melissa Gilbert, who was barely 10 years old when she first stepped into those famous braids and sunbonnet. People who watched her grow up on screen felt like they truly knew her.
Then, in season 6, actor Dean Butler arrived as Almanzo Wilder, the calm and dependable man Laura falls for.
The moment he appeared, fans felt something shift.
When Laura and Almanzo first locked eyes, you could almost feel her heart skip a beat. That's how convincing they were together. People didn't just watch their characters fall in love. They believed it. Their chemistry felt so natural that fans spent years wondering if something was happening off-screen too. And because social media didn't exist back then, there were no behind-the-scenes clips or Instagram stories to satisfy anyone's curiosity. Just episodes and the occasional magazine interview. That mystery made everything feel even more magical. The truth fans never expected. For years, Melissa and Dean said almost nothing about what was really happening between them on set. They didn't confirm or deny anything. Fans let their imaginations run wild.
But now, the silence has been broken in ways nobody anticipated, and the conversation has taken on a whole new weight. In November 2025, Melissa posted on Instagram after seeing women share stories with the hashtags #IWAS15, #IM15, and #IWASAChild. She wrote that she decided to Google herself at that age and see what came up, and that what she found made her, at this age and at this time, genuinely nauseated. She went further, stating plainly, "I was a child.
I was 15. It wasn't a quiet reflection. It was a declaration. And it shook the internet." Parade. When Laura and Almanzo first kissed on screen, Gilbert was 15 years old and Butler was 23. For decades, that age gap was glossed over by the romance and nostalgia of the show. But Melissa's post forced people to look at it clearly and honestly. Parade. Dean Butler responded publicly just weeks later.
During an episode of the Little House on the Prairie 50th Anniversary podcast, he was asked directly how he felt about the age difference. He initially deflected with a joke, saying he barely noticed it, before becoming more serious, at 15 and 23.
Was a big deal. It was a big deal.
He also reflected on how difficult those scenes must have been for Melissa. If you have virtually no life experience in a particular thing that you are being asked to do, it's very challenging to do it.
Parade. Growing up in front of the camera.
Understanding why this moment matters so much requires going back to the beginning.
Melissa Gilbert was born on May 8, 1964, in Los Angeles, and adopted by actor Paul Gilbert and dancer Barbara Crane just a day after birth.
From the very start, show business was simply part of daily life.
By age 7, she was doing commercials.
By 9, she landed the role that would define her career. What sealed the deal in her audition was her chemistry with Michael Landon, who played her TV father Charles Ingalls. Off-screen, Landon became something of a true father figure to Melissa, especially as her home life became complicated by her adoptive parents' divorce. By her teenage years, Melissa had already spent years in front of millions. She had filmed emotional scenes, handled weighty storylines, and carried the show through its most beloved chapters. Then came the introduction of Almanzo Wilder, and with it the expectation that a 15-year-old girl would convincingly play a woman falling in love with a grown man. In her memoir Prairie Tale,
She was direct about it. I was 15, and he was 23. I looked like a boy. I was built like a boy. I was a little girl. And I had to pretend to fall in love with a grown man. Their very first kiss happened on national television, with no warm-up and no real emotional foundation. Melissa described it as terrifying and awkward. She was learning to act out a romance while she was still just a girl figuring out what love even meant. Dean Butler recalled in his own 2024 memoir, Prairie Man, that Melissa's mother Barbara was seen crying near the set when they filmed a romantic scene, prompting director Michael Landon to shout cut. Butler wrote that her mother's distress seemed to stem from the pain of watching her daughter kiss a man so much older than she was. Yahoo! The reality behind the romance. So what was actually going on between them? Melissa has been clear, there was no secret love story. Her heart at the time belonged to someone else entirely, teenage heartthrob Rob Lowe, whom she later dated seriously. Dean was never a romantic interest. As she put it, Dean was like a big brother. He was professional, patient, and always respectful. He never crossed a line or made her feel uncomfortable, and she has said she's always been grateful for that. But what the world saw on screen was something entirely different. Laura and Almanzo became one of the most iconic TV couples in history, the kind of relationship fans romanticized for decades. The love story was real in the sense that it moved people. The acting was extraordinary. But behind it was a teenager who was uncomfortable, a professional adult trying to be responsible, and a set full of adults who expected a child to perform an adult emotion on demand every single week. That context matters now more than ever, especially given what Melissa has been living through in recent months. Melissa's life today and the weight she's carrying. When Little House on the Prairie ended, Melissa faced the challenge so many child stars know well, escaping the shadow of an iconic role. She took on theater, TV movies, and voice work, always pushing against the narrow box Hollywood wanted to keep her in. She married, divorced, raised children, battled addiction, recovered from surgeries, and wrote honestly about all of it in her memoirs. In 2015, she had her breast implants removed and stopped dyeing her hair, telling People magazine it was one of the smartest decisions she'd ever made. She has spoken out against unrealistic beauty standards, saying, "Aging is a privilege, not a problem. I'm aging gracefully." In 2013, she married actor Timothy Busfield, and for years, their life in the Catskills seemed to represent everything Melissa had worked toward: simplicity, peace, and authenticity. But in January 2026, everything changed. Busfield was arrested and later indicted by a grand jury on 4 counts of criminal sexual contact with a child, stemming from allegations made by a child actor on the set of the TV show The Cleaning Lady, which Busfield was directing in Albuquerque. Variety. Melissa sat down with George Stephanopoulos for an interview that aired on Good Morning America on April 6, 2026. She was firm and emotional in equal measure. "I need to make something really abundantly clear," she said. "I am neither naive nor am I complicit." She told Stephanopoulos that her life has been hell and called it the most traumatizing experience of our lives, adding, "Our life as we knew it is done." She also said clearly, the last person in the world who would hurt a child. "And believe me, if I thought for a second that Tim Busfield hurt a child, he'd have a lot more to worry about than prison." Entertainment nuts +2. The timing has not been lost on anyone. The same woman who just months earlier went public about being a 15-year-old child expected to kiss an adult man on national television is now publicly defending her husband against child abuse allegations. It has reopened every conversation about her past and her present all at once. What it all means. Adding another layer, a Netflix reboot of Little House on the Prairie is set to premiere on July 9, 2026, with the original cast, including Melissa Gilbert, Allison Arngrim, and Dean Butler, having already weighed in on the new adaptation. Melissa said there is plenty of room for someone else's interpretation of the story. But given everything that has surfaced in recent months, the conversation around that original story has shifted permanently. Wikipedia. What Melissa Gilbert has revealed is not a secret romance. It is something more complicated and more important. She was a child who was asked to perform adult emotions for a national audience, who grew up under enormous pressure, who struggled with identity, beauty standards, and public expectations,
and who is now navigating one of the most painful chapters of her life in full public view. Through all of it, her honesty has never wavered. That's her real story.
And that story is still being written. What do you think about what Melissa has revealed? Let us know in the comments.
If you enjoyed today's video, please like and subscribe to the channel, and click on the video showing on your screen for more stories like this.